is, huh?
Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show, and we are in luck today. We're talking about marriage. We're talking about how to grow your marriage and keep it happy and healthy, and we've brought in some backup. This is Ramona.
The backup.
The backup, because she knows what she's talking about. You have written about marriage, and you have blogged about marriage, and you've spoken about marriage and helped countless people out for over 20 years. I know we were just discussing before the break about the secrets, but there's so many things that we could talk about in regards to this. I've been married myself for 5 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's an accomplishment.
Thank you. I've
It
reached the
is.
5-year mark.
Absolutely, it truly is.
But I do have to say that as the marriage develops, right, it's a work in progress. It always is. You have to work at it. So what is your advice in keeping the spark alive after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years?
Right. Well, I am an expert in that I've been married almost 40 years. All right. And I would say the spark is very much alive after that 40 years. But 2 years into our marriage, we almost divorced. We were 4 days away from divorce court when I decided to, well, he offered and then I agreed to try again, and we went back at it. So from that point on, I decided to really invest myself in learning my stuff. So what you just asked, like, can I give you a pill? Can I give you a bumper sticker that will save my marriage or keep the spark alive or bring the, whatever back into it? No, I can't. I'm sorry. It took me years and years and years of studying these things by making a concerted effort, by being intentional. And I would go to women that I admired who had successful marriages, all right, who looked like they were really happy. They were in love. And I would watch them, I would ask questions. So I created my own mentor pool, if you will. And if you're gonna ask me why don't more marriages succeed, I think that's one of the main reasons in today's world is that we don't have mentors who are really teaching us our stuff, because I really believe that there's a skill set involved in being a wife, and it's passed on. And if it's not passed on correctly, or how many of us have mothers that can even do that, or aunts or grandmas or whoever, they themselves are probably having dealt with divorce and so forth. So it's hard to find mentors. So that's what I've set myself up as a mother mentor to literally tens of thousands of women around the world, 50 countries. Wife for Life, my students come from, because I actually have a school that I teach these things at.
So you're teaching people. I do have to say, too, getting the advice from older people that have been married for 40, 50 years. I find that so fascinating when I talk to an old married couple that are still madly in love. I want that. We all want that.
Yes. And at Wife for Life, we call that the grand marriage. Okay, that's just our terminology. So this goes beyond good. This goes way beyond great. It's grand. And this is a legacy kind of love. The kind of powerful partnership where you're weaving her dreams and his dreams together, and it changes the world, really. It goes on generationally, and I think it's one of the greatest gifts to the whole world is that kind of powerful romantic partnership. We stand on the shoulders of grand marriages. We all do. John and Abigail Adams. Where would the United States be without John and Abigail? Right?
Both.
Right? And I could go on long list. They're in my book. I use a lot of examples, historically and contemporary. There are contemporary examples of grand marriage. And it is truly the Wife for Life ideal, but we know there's a lot to learn to get to that point. And so that's what we do. We have a real comprehensive body of principles. But
can you give me some advice in getting to that? I know you said there's no pill that you can take, but with the stress of just daily life, right? So you have, I don't even have children, but I imagine balancing a marriage, and you have 3, 4, 5 children on top of that, work and daily activities and sports and other things that the kids are doing. How do you devote time to your marriage? I guess you have to.
Yes, because listen to the, you know the 10,000 hour rule, right? And marriage is a relationship that has to be worked at, as we've established, but you want to actually become a master, if you will, of that relationship, you know, an artist. We talk about an artist in marriage a lot. So yeah, this is going to take some intention. How do you do that when you're really stressed? Like you say, all these other on you is right. Why for life, and my approach is that you don't have to do a lot, okay? So we're not adding to our to-do list. All we're learning is how to respond to our loved one. It's those teeny tiny pocket moments where how we respond makes all the difference.
Amen to that.
And
in
so
the heat of the moment, when the trash isn't being taken out, and you just want to yell at them, and it's like, hold on.
Yes.
Take a deep breath.
Exactly. Or when they make a little bid for your attention of any kind, you drop everything and you turn toward them. Literally, that's a Dr. John Gottman tactic that is miraculous. Turning towards, just like I'm here for you, you're number one for me. Those kind of little moments will make all the difference. Going from a 4-day marriage, or I was 4 days away from divorce court, to a 40-year marriage. That's what makes grand. In the end, that's what makes grand. But there's a lot to learn about all kinds of ways to avoid stress. For instance, we can take responsibility for our own happiness. We call it delighting our heart. And we have a list of maybe 20 ways that we can do that as women. It makes all the difference in taking that pressure off our marriage and our husbands.
I've noticed too, this is something that I'm learning, is relatively new to marriage, 5 years in, is money can complicate things too.
Yeah, that's a big stressor.
How do you alleviate that?
Well, now you're coming back to communication, right? Because that's just one of the issues you've got to be talking about all the time. So we run into, my students from all over the world, of course, run into not only money issues, but in-law issues and a million other hot button topics. So we learn how to talk to or with our husbands, which you think, okay, come on, we're just two people, let's just talk. You know, it isn't that easy. And so understanding where he's coming from and his approach. For instance, for money, he may be approaching it differently than you because he has a different orientation toward his responsibility, towards the family, towards the marriage, and so forth, than you do. And understanding your whys, or that orientation, how you're coming at the relationship from two different angles, makes a huge difference in discussing or getting through those what seem like unsolvables. We can solve them if we understand one another better and where we're coming from. So that's a really, really basic wife for life thing that we learn, is we come to understand our husband's why. His why for life, his why for loving. And it's very different than ours, actually. Fascinating. It's a fascinating topic.
It's really interesting too. My father, before I got married, told me specifically, Brittany, because he didn't have a successful marriage. He got divorced and never got remarried, and it was a bitter situation for him. But he told me specifically, this is a job. Getting married, yes, it's wonderful now, but you have to always work at it.
Okay.
Which I found very fascinating. So do you have any advice for maybe the men out there as well?
Oh, yes.
Because we have a certain,
Well, I wrote the book for women.
Yes.
All right? And I work with women exclusively as my students and so forth. But for years they're saying, when are you going to write Husband for Life? So I am, and it will come out next
you're working
year.
on it now?
Yes, because of course. Oh, yes.
That was a good transition.
Well, it's a little bit of a debut because I haven't even told my followers that. But yeah, Husband for Life, I hope will be out next year. So I do have a lot to say to men, because here I am mentoring women and I hear all their heartbreak, and it's like, if we could just get this across to our guy. So yeah, for men, you know what women need, men? RSTUVW. Romance, security, understanding, validation, and we-ness, or feeling like we're a team. We're a universe in and of ourselves. And so if men were more aware of those things and how to actually show them to their wife, now we know we can make her happy. Those are things she really, really values.
True.
So,
I agree.
Yeah. You like the romance part? Yeah.
We all do. We all do. You're in town because you're going to be helping people here locally as well. You're from Washington, so you're visiting.
From Washington State.
So you have a few events coming up next week where people can hear you speak in person and get some advice.
Yeah, the Salt Lake County Library System has invited me to speak, and I want to do more than speak. We're going to put on a kind of a show, sort of a rally. It's going to be very high energy and a wealth of principles. So that's, next Thursday night, the 27th at the Meridian Center.
And that is happening from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m.
Yeah, it's a whole event.
And from what I understand, the tickets are free.
They are.
So you can come and listen to you for free.
Yeah, I could come and listen to me for free.
But no, what you're saying though is so very valuable because a marriage takes work, and sometimes
it takes
we
understanding.
need another voice that's outside of the marriage to tell us and help guide us.
And inspire us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us
Thank
this
you,
morning.
Brittany.
I appreciate it. I learned a lot.
Good.
Hopefully you did as well. We'll have much more coming up here on the Mountain Morning Show. Stay with us.